Welcome to RPTV Weekly News. I'm Gabriel, joined by Kedar and Jabin, ready to bring you the latest updates from Regent Park and its surroundings.
In this episode, we'll cover important events and community updates from November the 18th to November the 23rd. Stay with us for the news that matters to our community.
TCHC unveils new affordable housing at 175 Oak Street. Councillor Moise addresses key issues impacting Toronto Centre. National Housing Day, advocates demand action on Ontario's housing crisis. Toronto City Council divided over Christian Heritage Month debate. Youth-led discussion highlights student housing crisis. Book launch of Niizh by Joelle celebrates Indigenous storytelling in Regent Park. Events and jobs in the community.
TCHC unveils new affordable housing at 175 Oak Street. Toronto Community Housing Corporation, TCHC, and the Daniels Corporation provided a preview of its latest affordable housing development at 175 Oak Street in Regent Park on November 20th, 2024. This achievement, part of the ongoing Regent Park revitalization, reflects TCHC's commitment to transforming the community into a mixed-income, family-friendly neighborhood. The 15-story building includes 213 affordable units, featuring 189 new replacement rent-gear-to-income RGI units, and 24 are new affordable housing rentals. Uniquely designed for families, it offers 3, 4, and 5 bedroom units alongside 1 and 2 bedroom options. Nearly 20% of units exceed Ontario's accessibility standards. Amenities include a family room, playground, study spaces, and a smoke-free environment, a first for TCHC. Designed with sustainability in mind, the building features green roofs, LED lighting, and a connection to Regent Park's district energy system. It aligns with TCHC's goal of reducing emissions by 25% by 2028. Tenants will move in early next year, marking the final rental building in phases 1 to 3 of the revitalization. Mayor Olivia Chow praised the project as an example of creating affordable, inclusive communities. This milestone is significant for the Regent Park neighborhood as it represents progress in creating inclusive, accessible, and family-oriented housing while strengthening the community's transformation into a vibrant, mixed-income area. Regent Park TV was on site to cover the tour and media conference.
It's wonderful to be here, joining in the grand opening, this smart building that TCHC is building, and together, joined by Daniels Corporation, as you heard, MPP Kristen Wong-Tam, our local councillor, great representative, Moise, all of us here, and with some neighbors. It's going to be mixed income, a total of 213 units, and 24 of them are now up for rent. So those of you that want to rent a decent home, tell TCH now, so that you can get in on this beautiful building. This building is not just about a home, it's about a community. It's about building a home for everyone. 41 of the units are going to be totally accessible, which is great. Quite a few years ago, when this whole area being revitalized, some of the residents don't believe that they would get a chance to come back over, because they're saying, you're going to take away my house. I've lived here for quite a while. You're rebuilding. Are you sure we can get back here? Yes. This is a replacement unit. How many of them? They are 189 replacement units, so they can move back into the neighborhood. Their kids can grow up here, and they can show off their, the smart satellite energy plant, and also help build the neighborhood. And this is the way of the future: cooperation, partnership, complete neighborhood, accessible for everyone.
This is quite the accomplishment. I have been walking through this neighborhood for years, and watching this transformation take place has been incredibly heartwarming. It has uplifted my spirit and given me so much hope about the future of this city. The very best of Regent Park is represented right here. This particular partnership between TCHC and Daniels in bringing high-quality, world-class homes back to our tenants is something that should be celebrated and replicated, not just across Toronto, but right across Ontario, and I would say across the province. We have stumbled onto a particular magical formula that just gets better and better with time.
Councillor Moise addresses key issues impacting Toronto Centre. Regent Park TV recently sat down with Toronto Centre Councillor Moise at a City Hall office for an engaging conversation about pressing issues facing the community. Hosted by Gabriel Meissner and filmed by Kedar Ahmed, the interview touched on housing, public health, and community safety concerns impacting Toronto Centre. He addressed residents' feedback from the October 30th consultation on Regent Park Phases 4 and 5, provided updates on the Allen Gardens encampment clearings, and emphasized the urgency of harm reduction services in light of provincial plans to close sites. Stay tuned as we present highlights from the interview, and don't forget to watch the full conversation on our YouTube channel.
What actions will you take to ensure the project prioritizes more social housing units?
Well, first of all, all the RGI units in Regent Park are status quo. So there'll be no loss of RGI units in Regent Park. We've also added 682 more affordable units to the phases 4 and 5. It's not RGI, but it's affordable units, right? It's important to note also, though, that it's the market units that help subsidize the affordable units, right? So you have to sell the market units first,
Right.
then we get the funds because the city owns the land,
Right.
and it's a partnership with Tridel. And so once we get that money, we can actually use it to build more affordable units. So,
And when you say affordable units, do you mean affordable housing or social housing?
affordable housing,
Affordable.
which is TCHC units,
Right.
right? But again, it's important to note, though, a lot of people ask for rent geared to income units, but it costs $8,000 a year per unit. And it should be the province and the feds who pay for the RGI units, not the city. We want to build more housing, right? It's either, we take that money and build less and provide RGI, or take that $8,000 and build more housing.
Right.
And I think, that's one of the reasons why we're able to actually build more as well, right? So we're really trying to be creative. Again, we're in a housing crisis, and, we are advantageous in that the land is ours. So let's build up and get people housed.
Can you update us on how the 433 people connected to shelters are transitioning to stable housing?
So when I first took office 2 years ago, there was over 89 encampments at Allen Gardens. It was the largest in the city of Toronto. And with intention from the very beginning, made sure that, we used the housing first approach. One of the things that I did was create a task force of senior staff here at the city to actually help the people in the park. There's no sense for me to actually just remove people from a park and then they have nowhere to go. So we've used the Dufferin Grove model as to housing first approach. So one of the first things I did was I brought a trailer into the park so that our housing staff has a place to actually work out of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We've also had security there, 24-hour security. and other services there. The park's been cleaned several times a day, every day.
What is the Dufferin Grove model?
Well, Dufferin Grove model is really connecting people from the park to housing. So as you've mentioned, we've actually referred 433 people into indoor spaces, and we've permanently housed 98 people out of the park, right? So there's been a lot of great success to that approach.
What step is the city taking to ensure access to life-saving services like safe consumption sites and supportive housing, given the alarming rates of opioid-related deaths in our communities?
So as chair of public health, it's front and center for me. And prior to being elected official, I was an addictions counselor at St. Michael's Hospital in the ward as well for 22 years. So this issue is close and dear to my heart. And
you've been a lot of things. Sorry, you were a police officer, you were a teacher, I believe?
No, I was a school board trustee.
School board trustee.
For almost 7 years.
Okay, so you've done a lot.
I've done a lot, and there's still so much more to do.
Yeah.
But
sorry. Keep going with what you were saying.
It's okay. But so I know some of the people in the streets personally because of the work I used to do, at the hospital, and I know their stories. Not everyone was born an addict. Something happened in their lives that got them to this point. And it's important to know that they are our neighbors. They can be your sibling, a parent, and so you have to humanize the people that are at risk and most marginalized. And I think it's incumbent upon us to support those who are most marginalized in our communities. Big children, seniors, and those who have fallen through the cracks. And safe consumption sites is important because we meet people where they're at, right? People are at different stages of their recovery, and so it's important to engage them and find out where they are at and help them where they're at.
Right.
Some people I know through my own experience of working in the field, many people try to get off the drugs that they're on, but they stumble along the way and they come back 100 times. And you know what? You open your arms to them every time that they come back, right? You have to realize addictions is an illness, and it's a healthcare issue, and you have to treat it as such. I know when I started in the field many years ago, we didn't really have harm reduction and safe consumption sites. So I remember people coming into the emergency and stealing syringes off the carts and sharing one needle among themselves. And we also know that HIV rates went through the roof, Hep C rates went through the roof. And it took a long time to educate the users as to why they should not be sharing needles. And here we are, fast forward in 2024, almost 2025, and we're now saying to people, well, you know what? All the things that we've told you to do, just throw it out the window. So we're doing a disservice to our community. And it's also important to note that harm reduction sites were strategically placed where they are because the need was greatest, right? It was addressing a need that was there. And through the safe consumption sites, they actually keep a lot of needles off the street. There's a trust factor involved with the staff and the clients. And also too, they prevent a lot of overdose deaths, right? If they were not providing that need, then all those overdoses would be on the street, and our emergency services would have to go and try to reverse those overdoses.
Advocates demand action on Ontario's housing crisis. On National Housing Day, over 100 housing advocates, professionals, and clients gathered at Queen's Park to demand action on homelessness and encampments. This action focused on the urgent need for Ontario to implement a clear and actionable plan to address the housing crisis. ensuring that vulnerable Ontarians have access to deeply affordable and supportive housing. A press conference highlighted the critical need for increased investments in affordable housing, particularly for women, and called on Premier Doug Ford to step up with the necessary funding. This rally holds particular importance for communities like Regent Park and downtown East, where access to affordable housing is a growing concern. Now let's take a look at the highlights from the media conference.
My name is Kristen Wong Tam. I'm the Member of Provincial Parliament for Toronto Centre. And today, leading up to the National Day of Housing, we are facing a critical issue that demands urgent attention, and that is the rising rate of homelessness in Ontario. And today I've invited over 100 advocates from across the province, largely with the support of those who are on the stage with me today. And our call is to the Doug Ford government to create and fund a plan to end homelessness. I want to acknowledge that on the stage and the podium with me is Mainstay Housing, the Toronto Alliance to End Homelessness, Sistering. These are just some of the significant partners that will be coming through the House to raise their voice on this issue. Homelessness numbers in Ontario are stark, but behind them are stories about real people, our neighbors, our friends, and families. Ontario is in the throes of a homelessness crisis of staggering proportions that we have not seen before. Recent estimates from the internal government documents indicates that over 234,000 individuals are homeless across this province. This figure represents a very sharp increase from previous years, underscoring the inadequacy of existing measures. Adding to this, we are seeing encampments in every single town and community, over 1,400 of them in Ontario, and it is getting worse. We must recognize that winter is also coming. The gendered impacts of the housing crisis deserve special attention, the attention that it is not getting from this government. For women, homelessness isn't just about a lack of a roof over their heads. It's also about survival in the face of violence. Women experiencing homelessness are disproportionate victims of physical and sexual assault and sexual abuse, and on the streets and in the shelters. Many of them are also fleeing domestic violence, only to face further trauma in unsafe environment. This government had an opportunity to declare intimate partner violence an epidemic, and they still have not.
My name is Corey Roslin, and I'm here today representing the Elizabeth Fry Society of Northeastern Ontario. I'm here to give voice to women and gender diverse people from Northern Ontario who are experiencing homelessness, along with those who are working in shelters and other supportive environments for women experiencing homelessness. In our northern communities, our population is smaller, more rural, and spread out. We have overall less resources to support those who are at risk of or experiencing homelessness. In Sudbury, there have been no investments in women or gender-specific housing developments. Our northern communities experience harsher weather, both extreme cold in winter and heat in summer. We have less access to supports to address all of the complex needs that form the intersection of issues leading to homelessness, including mental illness, substance use, addictions, experiences of violence and trauma, including intimate partner violence, particularly for women and gender diverse people. The population experiencing homelessness is growing exponentially every single day. Existing resources cannot keep up. Across our province, we're also seeing the criminalization of survival in our communities that are failing to adequately support those who need it most. This has to stop. Solutions to homelessness do not include incarceration, disbursement of tent cities or encampments, the creation or enforcement of bylaws, or the use of the notwithstanding clause to address the visibility of homelessness. What is needed for us is to make any strides in reducing homelessness is both supportive housing and deeply affordable housing.
It's an honor to stand here today and express my gratitude for the incredible work Street Haven does to support women seeking shelter and stability. Homelessness means living in constant instability, moving between shelters, no place to call home, and unable to move forward. When I arrived at Street Haven, I wasn't sure I could adjust. As someone who values a personal space, blending in was hard. But the staff, Samantha, who helped me set and achieve my goals, and activities like movie nights gave me something I hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of belonging and hope. Street Haven didn't just give me a roof over my head. It gave me the tool and support I needed to rebuild my life and career. While living in the shelter, I started my tech career, attending online classes without worrying about internet access or a safe place to study. But for so many women like me, the journey can't truly begin without affordable housing. That's why we urgently need the government to expand programs like the Canada-Ontario Housing Benefits Co-op, invest, and grant access to affordable rental homes. Without these, women who are homeless remain trapped in a cycle of uncertainty, unable to regain their independence. Every woman deserves access to safe, affordable housing, a place where she can live with dignity and security. Together, we must advocate for these essential changes. Let us stand united, speak out, and ensure that these needs become realities for women across Toronto and beyond.
Youth-led discussion highlights student housing crisis. On November 17th, New Democratic Youth hosted an impactful virtual event, Young People and the Housing Crisis, focusing on challenges students and young people face in accessing affordable housing. Moderated by James Adair, the panel featured Niizh Zamisa, Co-Executive Director of House Canada, Chiara Padovani from the York South Western Tenant Union, and NDP MPP and housing advocate Jessica Bell. The discussion highlighted key solutions, including legislative changes like vacancy control, the creation of affordable housing near universities and colleges, and the critical work of organizations like House Canada. Panelists also explored the difficulties of organizing student-tenant unions and the responsibility of educational institutions to provide housing support for students at risk of homelessness. This topic is particularly important to Regent Park residents and youth, where housing affordability remains a growing concern. Conversations like these inspire the community to advocate for systemic changes and equitable housing opportunities.
What is one legislative change you would like to see right now to address the housing crisis?
100%, we need what could immediately make a huge dent in this crisis is vacancy control. And I say vacancy control because it's a little bit different than rent control, but honestly, if we could just get back real rent control in this province, and make sure also that students aren't exempted from that. A lot of student housing is exempted from rent control. So if we could get back real rent control, including vacancy control, including no more of these above guideline increase nonsense that I'm not sure if any of you have experienced yet, but in addition to that, making sure that students are not left out, because students are left out by so many tenant protections. And we've got to both bring back these protections that we had and expand them to include every renter, which includes students in student housing.
What would the Ontario NDP government do to ensure that there's sufficient, affordable, and high-quality student housing around universities and colleges, where a lot of young people live and are living in often very poor conditions or very expensive conditions?
Okay, so on top of the vacancy control piece, I could talk a little bit about what is likely going to be in our election platform in 2025. We know we're going to have an election likely in March. The Conservatives just did a big ad buy indicating that they really want to have a whole lot of ads on TV and radio in March. So that's where we're thinking the election is going to be. So for our election platform, there are a few things that might be relevant to students. One, we currently have a commitment to build, to spur the private construction of 1.5 million homes. Instead of saying we just need homes no matter what, our position is that we need to make sure that they're the right kind of homes that match the needs of what Ontarians want. That means affordable housing. It means student housing. It means accessible housing. It means supportive housing. So the goal is to build those 1.5 million homes, and we need to make sure that they're tailored to what Ontarians want and that they're more affordable. There are a few other policy measures that we think might be relevant here. One, We do want to ease zoning rules to make it easier to build purpose-built rental, higher density housing along transit routes and near colleges and universities. We do find that that's where there's a real shortage of affordable units around universities and colleges, because you get a whole lot of people moving in. They're new to the area, they need a home, and so that is really important. And we also want to ensure that we do increase density within existing neighbourhoods by allowing 4 plexes and 4 stories as of right in all towns and cities. And the beauty of that is you can get more affordable rental apartments in neighbourhoods people want to live in. Not only just to rent, but also to buy. So when you have that mix and complement it with vacancy control, you increase supply and you're also stabilizing rental prices. So there's some of the measures that we're looking at.
Toronto City Council divided over Christian Heritage Month debate. Toronto City Council's decision to proclaim December as Christian Heritage Month sparked emotional and heated debate during their November 14th meeting. The motion, introduced by Councillors Nick Mantas and Francis Nunziata, highlighted the significance of Christianity to many residents, but also drew sharp criticism regarding its broader implications. Councillor Gord Perks voiced strong objections, linking the phrase Christian heritage to contentious political and historical issues, including Canada's colonial past and residential schools. His remarks prompted disruptions, with Speaker Francis Nunziata struggling to maintain order amid interruptions from Councillor Anthony Peruzza.
Please, can you just continue?
Thank you.
I know, but Councillor Peruzza, please.
Stop my clock.
Councillor Peruzza, stop. Please stop.
In a tearful speech, Councillor Lily Chang shared her personal connection to Christianity, crediting it with helping her overcome struggles with depression and eating disorders.
I can say for myself that Christianity saved my life. I struggled with eating disorders and depression. I had a lot of challenges because I had adverse childhood events that I didn't even know were having such a difficult impact on me. So I don't think we should be putting a whole faith on trial at this moment.
Councillor Chris Moise, however, cautioned against bringing religion into City Council discussions, warning it could create division.
Everyone for who they are. When you bring religion into this chamber, that's what happens. Religion divides people. It always has. You open this today, you could not say no to anyone else. You could not say no to any other organization, because then you'd be discriminating against another religion. The best way to avoid this Pandora's box you want to open is to stay as far away from it as possible. We have many ways of showing love and acceptance to everyone in Toronto. And I'm happy to celebrate Christmas this year. I'm happy to celebrate Eid. I'm happy to celebrate Hanukkah. But I don't need to have a Heritage Month here to do that.
The final vote passed 11-4, with several councillors abstaining. This debate reflects broader tensions across Toronto, a city celebrated for its diversity, but often challenged by the complexities of honoring faith and heritage in public spaces.
Book launch of Niizh by Joelle Peters celebrates Indigenous storytelling in Regent Park. On November the 21st, Regent Park TV was on site at the Daniel Spectrum Community Living Room to cover the launch of Niizh by award-winning Anishinaabe playwright and actor Joelle Peters. The event, part of Toronto Let Up initiative, coincided with the opening night of Native Earth's Wasagishack Begins to Dance Festival, creating a dynamic celebration of Indigenous storytelling and artistry. Guests were treated to a special interview with Joelle Peters, an artist from the original production, offering insights into the play's themes of small-town life, young love, and community.
I think the story connects because I grew up on a reservation. I grew up on Walpole Island First Nation in southwestern Ontario, a couple hours southwest of here. And it's loosely based on personal experience and life, so it was easy to write those parts. It was more challenging to determine where to draw the line, I would say, between like fiction and nonfiction. What was the most challenging part? A lot of it was challenging. Maybe it was trusting the process, and maybe because it took 5 years to write it, I wasn't always sure if I was going to pick it up again, if it really was going to continue to grow, if I would like the story enough to end it and to find that ending. So because I'm still like, this was my first play, I'm still kind of an emerging playwright. It was really leaning on the support of like my mentors and my community of other writers to guide me through that. So I think I succeeded. Overall, I would love for this story to reach Indigenous youth. I think it's a story that anyone could like see themselves in, especially if they've dealt with a bit of that question of, should I stay at home? Should I go? What is my purpose? Who am I? So in the way that coming of age stories, it's like something we've all kind of experienced. I wanted it to be relatable in that way, but specifically Indigenous youth, I wanted to say that it's okay to leave the community. It's okay to not know, but I don't want youth to sell themselves short because they're afraid. I hope that this allows them to see that there is a world outside that maybe they haven't experienced yet. So just thinking about the possibilities that are out there.
Attendees also had the opportunity to purchase signed copies of the book. Events like this reflect the power of literature and the arts in connecting communities, resonating strongly with the cultural vibrancy of Regent Park.
And now for events and jobs in Regent Park community. The Social Development Plan invites you to the SDP Stakeholders Table meeting on Wednesday, November 27th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at 660 Dundas Street East, 3rd floor. Hope to see you there. TCHC, Daniels Corporation, and Tridal invites you to a Regent Park Community Update meeting on Monday, December 2nd at the Regent Park Community Center from 6 to 9 p.m. There will be updates on phases 1 to 5, upcoming buildings, community engagement, and jobs and training. The meeting will feature a new online Q&A format. For more information, contact talkregentpark@torontohousing.ca. You're invited to the Toronto Centre NDP Holiday Party on Sunday, December 8, 2024, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Banquet Hall of the Regent Park Community Centre. Enjoy food, music, great conversation, and door prizes. Tridal is offering job opportunities for Regent Park residents. For more information, visit tridalcommunityworks.com. Apply now. And that was all for events and jobs in the community. Hope to see you there.
And that's all for today's show, folks. I'm Kedar, and I've been joined by my co-hosts, Gabriel and Jabin. And a big thank you to our dedicated team of researchers who contributed to this week's episode. From Focus Media Arts Center, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next week.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please follow our social media platforms. For more information, check out our website.